I was nursing my second espresso at the downtown cafe, where I always stopped after leaving the office. The place smelled like roasted beans and cinnamon, a comfort after another long Tuesday. My phone vibrated across the table. A number I did not recognize flashed on the screen, area code from Washington State. I hesitated, then swiped to answer. The voice that came through made my blood run cold. "Hudson, it is me. We need to talk. Jenna, my ex-girlfriend from 7 years back." Before I could respond, she continued, "I have a daughter. She is 6 years old. Hudson, you are her father." Time seemed to freeze. Everything around me blurred into silence. Before we get into what happened next, I would appreciate knowing where you are tuning in from. Leave your city or country in the comments. If this story already has you hooked, go ahead and smash that like button and hit subscribe, because what the DNA test revealed will blow your mind. This became the most intense month of my entire life, and you need to hear how it all unfolded. Let me take you back 7 years. I was 23, working as a junior architect at a boutique firm in Portland, Oregon. The job was demanding, but fulfilling. I spent my days sketching, building designs, and learning the trade from veterans who had decades of experience. That is, when Jenna entered my world. She was employed at a fast-growing tech startup, handling their marketing campaigns. Jenna had this magnetic personality. Everywhere she went, attention followed. Her laugh was loud and infectious. Her confidence was something I admired. We started dating in the spring. Our first year together felt like something out of a romantic movie. We would drive out to Cannon Beach on weekends, walk along the shore, and watch the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. We would stay up until 3 in the morning talking about where we saw ourselves in 10 years, what kind of lives we wanted to build. She talked about traveling the world. I talked about designing homes that people would cherish for generations. Everything felt possible when we were together. But the second year brought changes. Subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. Jenna started taking more trips for work. Seattle, San Francisco, sometimes even Los Angeles. She would leave on a Wednesday and not return until Sunday. When she was home, she was distracted. Her phone became an extension of her hand, always buzzing with notifications she would glance at, and then quickly dismiss. I tried to bring it up gently. "Are we okay?" I would ask. She would smile and say she was just stressed about a big project. I wanted to believe her. Then came the evening that changed everything. Jenna was in the shower. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, face up. A text notification lit up the screen. It was from someone named Kyle. The message read, "Miss you too. Cannot wait to see you again." My stomach twisted. I did not want to be that person who snoops, but the unease was eating me alive. When Jenna came out, I asked her directly, "Who is Kyle?" Her face went from surprise to furious in seconds. She accused me of invading her privacy, of being controlling, of letting my insecurities ruin what we had. The argument escalated fast. She said I was too focused on my career to notice how lonely she was. I said she was deflecting instead of being honest. 1 week later, she packed her belongings and left. She moved out of Portland entirely, and I never got closure. 7 years passed without a single word, until 3 days ago. I agreed to meet her at a small cafe on the quieter side of town, away from places we used to frequent. I arrived 15 minutes early, ordered black coffee, and sat by the window overlooking the street. My mind raced with scenarios. What could she possibly want after all this time? When Jenna walked through the door, I barely recognized her. Her hair, once long and wavy, was now cut short in a practical bob. She wore simple jeans and a loose navy sweater. The spark that once defined her seemed dimmed. She sat down across from me without ordering anything. She pulled a manila folder from her bag and slid a photograph across the table. A little girl stared back at me. Brown hair and pigtails, wide hazel eyes, a small, cautious smile. "This is Emma," Jenna said, her voice flat. "She just turned 6. Hudson, you are her father." I picked up the photo and studied it closely. The girl was adorable, but I could not find any resemblance to myself. Jenna launched into her explanation. She claimed she discovered the pregnancy shortly after our breakup. She said she was too angry and hurt to tell me. She moved to Seattle, gave birth alone, and spent the last 6 years raising Emma without any support. Now she said things were falling apart financially. Rent in Seattle had skyrocketed. Childcare was draining her savings. Emma needed new clothes, school supplies, medical checkups. Jenna wanted me to start paying child support immediately. $2,000 every month, she said. Plus, half of any medical bills and future educational expenses. I watched her carefully as she spoke. Her eyes darted around the room. Her fingers tapped nervously against the edge of the table. Something about her story felt rehearsed. "Why now?" I asked. "Why wait 7 years to tell me?" She gave me a vague answer about finally reaching a breaking point. She said she had tried to handle everything on her own but could not anymore. I looked at the photo of Emma again. My mind went back to our final months together. I remembered something strange. One afternoon I left work early because I was not feeling well. When I got to Jenna's apartment, there was an unfamiliar car parked in her usual spot. A silver sedan I had never seen before. When I asked her about it later, she brushed it off. "A coworker stopped by to drop off some files," she said. I let it go at the time, but the memory nagged at me now. I also remembered another incident. Jenna told me she was going to San Francisco for a week-long conference. But a few days into her trip, I saw a post on social media from one of her colleagues. The entire marketing team was photographed in their Portland office celebrating someone's birthday. When I asked Jenna about it, she became defensive. She said the trip got canceled last minute, and she forgot to mention it. She accused me of tracking her movements online. At the time, I apologized for making her feel that way. Now I wondered if I should have pressed harder. I set the photo down and met her gaze. How do I know Emma is really mine? Jenna's expression hardened instantly. "Are you seriously asking me that? You think I would lie about something like this?" I kept my voice steady. "I am not accusing you of anything. But if I am going to take financial responsibility for a child, I need to be certain. I want to do a DNA test." Her reaction was immediate and intense. She leaned back in her chair like I had slapped her. "I do not need to prove anything to you," she said, her voice rising. "If you really cared about Emma, you would help without asking questions." I explained again, calmly, that this was not about caring. It was about being responsible. If Emma was my daughter, I would step up in every way possible. But I needed confirmation first. Jenna stood abruptly, grabbing her purse. "I thought you were different," she said. "I guess I was wrong." She turned to leave. I stayed seated and spoke clearly. "If you walk out now, I cannot help you. The DNA test is not negotiable." She stopped near the door, her back still to me. After what felt like an eternity, she turned around slowly. "Fine," she said through clenched teeth. "We will do your stupid test. But when it proves I am right, you are going to owe me an apology." We arranged to go to a testing facility the following week. She left without another word, the cafe door swinging shut behind her. I sat there for another half hour, staring at Emma's photo, wondering what truth was buried beneath all this. The days that followed were some of the longest of my life. I could not concentrate on anything. At work, I would stare at blueprints without really seeing them. My boss asked if I was feeling okay. I told him I was dealing with some personal issues. That night, I called my best friend, Marcus. We had known each other since college. He worked in corporate finance and had a sharp analytical mind. I told him everything. His response was immediate. "Dude, something is off here. If she really needed help, why wait 7 years? Why not reach out when Emma was born? Why now?" His questions mirrored my own doubts. I started doing calculations in my head. If Emma was 6 years old, Jenna would have conceived around the time we were breaking up. That was also when she was most distant, most secretive. I went through my email archives, searching for anything from that time period. I found a thread where Jenna told me she would be unreachable for a few days because of a work retreat. But looking back now, I realized She never showed me photos from that retreat. She never mentioned details about it. The gaps in her story were starting to look like canyons. I decided to look Jenna up online. Her social media profiles were mostly locked down, but she had a few public photos. I scrolled through them carefully. Then I found something that made my pulse quicken. A photo from roughly 7 years ago. Jenna was at some kind of outdoor party, standing beside a tall man with blonde hair and a square jawline. His arm was around her shoulders. They were both smiling. The photo was tagged at a location in Portland, dated just weeks before we broke up. I zoomed in on the man's face. He looked vaguely familiar, though I could not place him. I went through Jenna's limited friend list trying to match the face. Eventually I found him, Kyle Peterson. According to his profile, he worked in real estate and lived in Seattle. His profile was not fully public, but I could see a handful of recent photos. One of them stopped me in my tracks. Kyle was holding the hand of a little girl who looked strikingly similar to the photo Jenna had shown me. Same hair color. Same facial structure. The caption underneath read, "Best day with my little princess." I took screenshots of everything. 10 days after we scheduled the DNA test, my phone buzzed with a long text message from Jenna. She said she was in a financial crisis. Emma needed surgery to remove her tonsils, and the medical bills were piling up. She said the procedure would cost around $5,000, and she needed help immediately. "Can you send the money now?" she wrote. "You are her father."